Welcome back to Boy Party, the podcast that tackles cinema's most legendary team-ups, films where two or more major stars shared the screen and battled it out for screen time, top billing, the fatter paycheck, and the most acclaim. Every week, we're discussing movies that gave audiences 2 or 3 for the price of 1 on Legends of the Silver Screen. And we're delving into dueling star personas, a bit of behind-the-scenes drama, and the ultimate quest for box office, Oscars, and cinematic dominance. And don't worry, we'll be discussing actors of all genders from week to week because girls are invited to the Boy Party and gender is a construct anyway. My name is Lucien, and I'm joined by my co-host, Shane Kelly. Shane, how are you getting on?
I'm quite good. Not satisfied with my reaction.
I can't think of anything. I can't think of a funny reaction.
Do you think I should be okay?
We need to get into our Cary Grant, Jimmy Stewart.
Do you want me to do Jimmy Stewart voice? Well, I'm good.
Well, I just don't know what to say.
I say.
The folks are gonna switch off straight away. I don't think either of us have ever attempted a Cary Grant voice. I think it's much more difficult to do.
Cary Grant, he talks like this.
He stays at the Waldorf Astoria.
Yes, I stay at the Waldorf Astoria, darling. No, it's not quite this. It's James Mason, actually. Why am I doing James Mason? I should be doing his North by Northwest co-star, Cary Grant. Well, Jason Isaacs is killing the Cary Grant impression on ITV's original series, Archie,
yeah.
Which I have not finished. We are here today to discuss Cary Grant, Jimmy Stewart, and Katharine Hepburn in 1949's The Philadelphia
1940s.
Story. What?
1940.
1940s The Philadelphia Story, a George Cukor film written by Donald Ogden Stewart, and the only ever on-screen collaboration between probably the number 1, number 2 great American movie stars, Mr. Grant and Mr. Stewart. I mean, Cary Grant's not really American, but he's an American movie star.
Yes.
A star of American pictures.
He is indeed.
And it's quite a banger for these two men to have appeared in together.
This film was kind of the inspiration when the idea of the pod came around.
For sure. It's very much
This was the boy party.
It is the platonic ideal boy party in a sense. I mean, there are a few films that are, but this is a real perfect boy party where our two favorite movie stars from the 20th century were instantly together, and something like this doesn't really happen today.
And there's an incredible promo image that we like to look at, where they're shaking hands while Katharine Hepburn is in the middle.
Is in the middle, and it's on our album artwork. It's on our album art right there. They're hiding behind the oar in Party.
Yeah.
It's a great poster and it's a great movie. So it is a sort of a kind of Hays Code comedy, which is to say that it is intentionally sexless, but is also one of the most sexually charged films of the first half of the 20th century that I've seen. So it is quote, an example of a comedy of remarriage, a genre popular in the 1930s and 40s in which a couple divorce, flirt with outsiders, and then remarry. A useful storytelling device at a time when divorce was scandalous and depiction of extramarital affairs was blocked by the production code. So the production code, the Hays Code, you had to show a married couple sleeping in 2 separate beds, all this sort of thing, and you also couldn't show people philandering. So this film gets
around that by saying the wedding hasn't happened yet.
The wedding hasn't happened yet. She's divorced from Cary Grant. She's marrying somebody else, and now she gets to flirt with these 2 men a bunch, and then she gets back with him at the end.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a perfect sort of set of circumstances to allow 3 beautiful, sexy actors to just kind of bounce off each other in a somewhat flirtatious way without ever being too explicitly romantic or sexual in a way that would have.
So essentially, the plot is Katharine Hepburn is getting married to her new husband.
Yes.
Tracy
Lord. And she goes big game hunting in Africa and fox hunting. And the second they say that, I want her to fail at everything and not enjoy her life.
They're the high society of Philadelphia.
Yeah. And she's marrying a man called Kittredge. He's a fancy man.
He is a fancy man. He is a coal mine manager and also a congressman?
Yes, I think so.
Yes.
He's a man of the people.
Man of the people. Yes. Came from poverty.
Yes.
And so Jimmy Stewart and Cary Grant both work for a magazine, I believe?
No, I don't think Cary Grant works for the magazine. I think Cary Grant is a yacht designer.
Oh, yes.
But he's her ex-husband, and he's hanging around being a scamp.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Stewart is a journalist.
A journalist, yeah. And he's assigned to cover the wedding.
Yeah. So he rocks up to this big fancy house to report on the wedding, and Cary Grant is sort of trying to disrupt things because he's a cheeky scoundrel.
Yeah.
And doesn't like Kittredge because Kittredge is a bit of a stick up the ass.
And he's also just like kind of angry someone else has taken
his ex-wife.
And
her sister is this child who is delightful.
Fantastic.
Who is Dinah. And she's played by Virginia Weidler, who we just learned died at 41 after making 40 films between the ages of 7 and 13.
Yeah.
Child labor really pays off.
Absolutely. Yes, and MGM, I read a quote saying that she lost her marketability once she turned the awkward age of 15.
Fantastic.
So stop making films.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is like
Jesus Christ,
brutal stuff.
So, but also on a certain degree, I'm glad she stopped working because it was going to kill her, and it eventually did. Caught up with her. So, to do some comparison for these three wonderful actors, can you guess which of these three has the highest total box office?
See, I'm not sure about quantity of just pure volume of films they've been in. I'll go Jimmy Stewart. I feel like
Stewart is the correct answer.
Yeah.
Jimmy Stewart, his films grossed $277
Yes, I get the impression he worked
dollars.
latest into his career.
Yes, his highest grossing film was How the West Was Won, then The Greatest Show on Earth, Airport 77, Rear Window, and An American Tale, Fievel Goes West, which apparently he does a voice in.
Okay.
And then who do you think is second?
Oh, I saw a clip from that the other day. It was doing the rounds on Twitter.
With Jimmy Stewart?
Yeah.
What?
He's really old.
And he's doing the voice?
Yeah, he's hanging out with this no, he's not doing a voice.
Oh, he's
doing he's sitting there, but he's doing like a voiceover. It's just him and like a little cat called Fievel.
Well, Fievel is a mouse.
Or a mouse. Is it a mouse?
Now I'm confused. Yeah, Fievel's a mouse.
Oh, maybe I'm thinking of a different thing.
Yeah, maybe you are. Well, I'll look it up. Anyway, who do you think is the second highest box office?
Let's go Katharine Hepburn.
Correct. Yeah. 207 million. Her biggest hits being Notorious, Operation Petticoat, That's Entertainment, That Touch of Mink. What? No, that's Cary Grant. Excuse me. I was thinking she's not in all those films. Her biggest hit is on Golden Pond, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, The Lion in Winter, and Love Affair. And his biggest hits are all those ones that I just named. Very peculiar. His biggest box office hit being Notorious. $24 million worldwide versus North by Northwest, $13 million worldwide. I mean, look, there were wars going on and such. Things were very different back then.
Yes.
Who's to say what circumstances would impact a film's box office? Something very well could have come out at a moment in time when...
Yeah, like what was the highest grossing COVID film? Something.
Bad Boys for Life?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know. And then Oscars wise, Katharine Hepburn is of course the most decorated actor in the history of the Academy Awards. 4 Oscars to her name. She won her first for Morning Glory in 1934, and then she won for Guess Who's Coming to Dinner in 1968. She won for The Lion in Winter in 1969, and then she finally wins again for On Golden Pond in 1982, which is just a real you're old as fuck and you may as well get the record. We'll give you the record, and I think Meryl Streep's probably going to have the exact same thing happen to her when she's that age.
It's nice to see she had such an expansive career.
Exactly. She was winning Oscars from 1934 to 1982. That's insane.
That's incredible.
But Streep is going to probably have something similar where she won her first Oscar around the time that Katharine Hepburn was winning her last Oscar.
Yeah.
And then Meryl Streep's last Oscar could very well be in to be honest, 2040 or something.
Yeah.
Right? But it probably will. It'll be when she's in her 80s and she does something fun.
And what was Hollywood's relationship with female stars at the time? Did they kind of phase them out once they...
Well, she kind of was a pretty unique in the sense that her persona was never really going to be limited by age, I feel like.
Yeah.
Because her thing wasn't being her thing wasn't necessarily her youthful, flirtatious kind of girlhood. It was always a very mature adult woman personality that she had, and she's very stern, she's very bossy,
kind of snarky. Yeah,
she's very snarky, and I think that the things that people liked about Katharine Hepburn were almost only ever going to get stronger as she got older.
Yeah.
So she was in a unique position to become a bigger star in her 40s and 50s, or at least, continue to be very popular. She lived to 96. Wow. 2003.
Yeah, 96.
But yes, I don't know. I think it very much depended on the female star. But certainly, in the 1940s, I don't think a lot of actresses were getting work beyond their 20s and 30s. But she was obviously very, very unique in the history of cinema. Wow, lived from 1907 to 2003. Incredible. And then, of course, she died 2003, and then they give Cate Blanchett the Oscar for playing her the year after in The Aviator, which it only has occurred to me just now was a sort of Katharine Hepburn tribute. Like, I didn't realize that she had died just before that Oscar was won. So very funny that she wins her 4 Oscars, she dies, and someone immediately wins an Oscar for playing her. Yeah. And there is a fun subcategory of people who have won Oscars for playing people
other Oscar winners
who won Oscars. Yeah. Like, you got your Renee Zellweger playing Judy Garland and stuff like that, you know. So interesting to think that someday we may have films where people are playing Tom Hanks and Tom Cruise, like unironically.
Yeah, like, just playing them straight,
not a comedy sketch or an impersonation necessarily, but a real film where someone is playing an actor that is still alive. Like, it happens in the
like, do you think you'll get someone playing Meryl Streep? And
oh, you will for sure. Yeah. I mean, but the Offer, the show, with the Miles Teller show about the making of The Godfather, there were actors in that playing Pacino and Diane Keaton, so it's already begun. Like, and there's a movie being made right now which looks terrible about the start of Saturday Night Live, and they have people playing everyone who was on SNL 50 years ago. Like, and sure, Chevy Chase was played in a film already by Joel McHale, so it happens in weird ways. But that wasn't necessarily entirely straight. But.
Sure.
Anyway, so the other boys, Jimmy Stewart has won one Oscar for this film. Yeah. Best lead actor, a somewhat category fraud. I don't think this is a leading performance.
I think this is very much.
He's probably on screen for like what 30 minutes of that, 35 minutes of this maybe.
Was Cary Grant also nominated for lead for this?
Oh, I don't think so. No, Cary Grant was not nominated for an Oscar for this.
Strange.
Whether he was submitted to lead or to supporting, I don't know. But Cary Grant was only ever nominated for 2 Oscars. Yeah, the 2 films I haven't seen, which I must resolve. But he, of course, then presents Jimmy Stewart with the honorary Oscar many years later. So Jimmy Stewart technically has a second Oscar, but it is an honorary one.
And let me tell you, the video of the presentation of that honorary Oscar
destroy you.
Absolutely.
Go watch it. It is very upsetting.
Cary Grant presents it to Jimmy Stewart, and they're both in their 80s. Old.
It's 1985.
It's 1985.
He gets his Lifetime Achievement Award. But Jimmy Stewart was nominated. So Jimmy Stewart's little run of films in the the mid 1930s, late 1930s is like incredible stuff. So his first film is in something called The Murder Man, 1935, with Spencer Tracy, which I haven't seen. Very small role. And then his first film that I've seen is You Can't Take It With You, which is 1938, which is a Frank Capra movie that I really love. It's about sort of a working class family. They have inventors and stuff living in the house, and it's a very left wing film. It's really great. It's Frank Capra, and it's beautiful. And he's very young in that. That's 1938. And then the year after that, he is in Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, which is like maybe his best performance. Like that and Vertigo, probably his 2 best performances. It's an incredible film. It is like the prototype for all the sort of Aaron Sorkin, Oliver Stone, The Post, every modern sort of political, ideological film. Kind of like Mr. Smith Goes to Washington is like the perfect kind of jump off point for that.
Yeah.
Then he is in The Shop Around the Corner in early 1940, which is, of course, a beautiful Ernst Lubitsch Christmas movie, and that comes out January 1940. Now, why that film came out in January, I do not know, because that is one of the most beautiful, perfect Christmas movies ever, and it's set in Budapest, which I just came back from last weekend, folks. And it is set in a beautiful like department store in Budapest. It's a great Christmas movie, and it's him and Margaret Sullivan. And Margaret Sullivan was an old friend of Jimmy Stewart's because she had been married to Henry Fonda from 1931 to 1933. And as is well known, Jimmy Stewart and Henry Fonda, very close friends throughout their lives. And he was basically performing very early in his career in productions with Henry Fonda and Margaret Sullivan. Henry and Margaret get divorced, but then Margaret Sullivan actually does a lot of work to help Jimmy Stewart get employed. She basically kind of boosts his profile with the studios, and he ends up getting cast opposite her in The Shop Around the Corner. Worth noting that in all these films, he is second billed. He is still not like the top guy, even though he is the protagonist of most of these films. But in Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, a film where his name is in the title, it's Jean Arthur billed first. And in Destry Rides Again that same year, it's Marlene Dietrich billed first. And then in Shop Around the Corner, it's Margaret Sullivan. And then he's in The Mortal Storm, No Time for Comedy. And then at the end of 1940, he's in The Philadelphia Story, which premieres in New York in December. They hold it for release until January because they don't want it to clash with the stage play, which was still running, which Katharine Hepburn had been in. So basically the play was written for Hepburn, and she ended up being in the play. She forgoed a salary in return for an exchange of its profits. Joseph Cotten, who of course is a great actor from The Third Man, he's in it with her, and Van Heflin is in it as well. And it ran for 417 performances and later went on tour. And she wanted to create a film vehicle for herself, which would erase the label of, quote, box office poison that she had acquired after a number of commercial failures, including the classic screwball comedy Bringing Up Baby, a film with her and Cary Grant in which they have to look after a tiger. And that is a fantastic film. Howard Hawks directed it, and it's considered such a classic now. It is one of the most beloved screwball comedies ever made, and it is insane to me that it was a box office flop.
Yeah.
So she accepted the film rights to the play for Philadelphia Story from Howard Hughes, who had bought them for her. Which this is probably an element of The Aviator, which I haven't seen. We should probably watch The Aviator because Howard Hughes and her are like the main characters of that film. She then convinces MGM to buy them for only $250,000 to have her in return for her having veto over producer, director, screenwriter, and cast. So she is in charge here, which is incredible for a female star in 1940 to have this much authority over a project that she's in. Really incredible stuff. So she hires George Cukor, who had just made Little Women that she's in, which is her and Joan Bennett and Jean Parker. I haven't seen it. Looks pretty good. She plays Jo March in it. The great litany of actresses who played Jo March. Her and who plays Jo in the? What is Winona Ryder? Jo in the Winona Ryder one? Yeah, I guess she is. Who else would she be?
Yeah, I guess so.
And then Saoirse, obviously. And
maybe we'll get a Greta Gerwig Philadelphia Story remake.
Frankly, don't say it 3 times. You might jinx it into existence.
Yeah.
Who's getting cast in this today?
I guess Gosling could come back.
Gosling, of course. Gosling is playing the Jimmy Stewart character.
Yeah,
100%. Okay, perfect. And then I guess you're kind of Margot Robbie's to lose, but I'd rather not.
Yeah.
Jennifer Lawrence, I'll allow.
Sure,
I'll allow Jennifer Lawrence. And then is Cary Grant? I don't know. Gyllenhaal?
No.
Yeah,
okay. It's kind of a slimy character.
Who'd be good with like her and who'd be good opposite Gosling? I feel like Gyllenhaal would be kind of good. He's kind of slimy.
Yeah.
Who else is the right age?
Are we keeping the kind of whole everyone's very posh and put together
Yeah,
thing?
I think so. Who else could be like kind of nouveau riche sort of?
Chalamet's too young.
Yeah, Chalamet's way too young. We're talking sort of mid-30s to mid-40s range here. Someone
very famous.
I don't know. You could kind of put like Jesse Eisenberg in it or something.
Sure.
I feel like you could be it doesn't have to be somebody perfect and handsome. Like,
yeah.
There's other people we're not thinking of right now.
Absolutely.
Whatever. It doesn't matter.
Bad.
You could also age it up slightly, and you could do it with Clooney and Damon and
just anyone's in the oceans.
Herself, whose name I'm forgetting, the most famous actress in the entire world, Julia Roberts.
Yeah,
you could do it with them. Like,
sure.
I think Julia Roberts is more like the thing with these people in the 1940s looked old as fuck.
Oh yeah, these all past for 40.
Seems like she's in her 50s here. Like
and what is she, like 30? She was 1907.
So she's like
33.
Yeah, crazy. So then she hires George Cukor, and then she wants Clark Gable and Spencer Tracy, but they're both busy. So she goes to Cary Grant, and Cary Grant says, "I'll do it, but you have to pay me $137,000.
Yes,
and the budget of the film is $914,000. So he's getting 10% of the budget, which is pretty good. Although I mean, people get more than that nowadays.
Yeah.
And he donated his salary to the British War Relief Society. Very nice of him. The pairing of Cukor and Gable would have been problematic in any case, as they had not gotten along recently on Gone with the Wind, and Cukor had been fired and replaced with Victor Fleming. The film was in production from July 5th to August 14th, 1940, and it comes out in January, so that's a real The Post type production schedule.
Yeah.
Filmed in the summer.
Were the Oscars still on in February, March?
I'd say so, yeah.
Time of the year?
Hard to say.
Yeah.
Hard to say. It was shot MGM in Culver City. It was shot in 6 weeks. Came in 5 days under schedule. At one point, Jimmy Stewart slipped in his hiccuping during the drunk scene. Cary Grant said, "Excuse me," and then stifled a laugh. The scene was kept in the film. It was not reshot. Stewart was nervous about the scene in which Connor recites poetry to Tracy and thought he would be bad at it. the renowned playwright Noel Coward was visiting the set that day, and George Cukor asked him to encourage Jimmy Stewart. Jimmy Stewart was also uncomfortable with some of the dialogue, especially in the swimming pool scene. Citation needed. Hepburn performed the dive into the swimming pool by herself without the help of a double. And the model sailboat that Cary Grant gives Hepburn is based on an actual boat, which, as of 2021, sails on Seneca Lake out of Watkins Glen, New York, as an excursion boat for Schooner Excursions Incorporated.
From the little snippets I read, they seemed to have like a bit of fun on set, and it was like an enjoyable production.
They obviously liked each other because 45 years later, Jimmy Stewart was handing Cary Grant was handing Jimmy Stewart his Lifetime Achievement Award. So
there was like a bit of physical comedy in the film between Hepburn and Cary Grant, and they were like, "Oh, we had a lot of fun doing all the takes of that."
Yes. In terms of where Cary Grant is in his career, he has been in, just before this, His Girl Friday, which was earlier this year. Insane that between these two actors in 1 year, they make Shop Around the Corner, His Girl Friday, and The Philadelphia Story. Insane. He's been in Holiday with Katharine Hepburn. He's been in Bringing Up Baby with Katharine Hepburn. Like, they did 2 movies in 1938 together. Yeah. He's been in The Awful Truth. And so he's like been in a lot more stuff. I mean, he's 4 years older than Jimmy Stewart. He has made at this point something like 30 to 35 films. Yeah. Jimmy Stewart has been in maybe like 12. Although two or three of those are like massive movies. But this is sort of halfway. This is the halfway point of Cary Grant's film career, sort of. Like, if you look at it, his list of films linear, this is like halfway down the list.
Because he stops working at 50, kind of.
Like his last film is 1966.
Okay,
so we're kind of halfway. And
it's another 25 years.
His first film is 32, but it's very front loaded. They're making films faster. You know, like after this, the biggest stuff he's in, bar the Hitchcocks, is Arsenic and Old Lace, and The Bishop's Wife, Monkey Business. Those are the kind of comedies.
You probably really had to front load your career if you wanted a bit of a choice once you got older.
Yeah. He does a couple of war ones, like Operation Petticoat and stuff in the early 60s. And then he just does like all the Hitchcocks and the Hitchcock adjacent stuff, like Charade. But still, extraordinary career. And this is definitely in his sort of 6 or 7 best films, I'd say.
Do you like this film?
I don't think it's amazing, but I do like it.
I don't think it was as good on rewatch. I watched it maybe 2 years ago.
It's funny, but there's not really anything deeper to it. It's watching people be silly for an hour and 55 minutes, which kind of takes It's
also like a lot meaner to Katharine Hepburn's character than I remembered.
It is very mean to her character.
It's pretty awful.
But the second they say she goes fox hunting, I want everyone to be mean to her.
Sure.
I don't know. I think that this is a film that would not be as good without these 3, and like you're kind of watching it being like, if this was random actors from the 40s that I wasn't familiar with, I probably would not be enjoying it.
Yeah, there's a few good moments, but it is the only real kind of bright sparks in it are just the like funny quirks they produce.
Them and the kid.
And the kid's is fantastic.
She's important, and she deserves as much credit as they do. But I do think it's very dependent on the 3 of them to be like considered a classic.
Yeah, they're like really putting the juice into the lines that's not necessarily there in the writing.
Yeah, I don't think his script would necessarily be as great without them. I'm trying to see what else he wrote Holiday, which I saw years ago, but like he never really wrote any films that I would consider to be. I mean, he wrote uncredited A Summertime Affair to Remember. I don't know how much work he did on those. I don't know if he's like the greatest screenwriter of the 1940s. You do think that this would probably be stronger if it was coming from Lubitsch or someone like that.
This did get a Best Adapted Screenplay nomination.
It did. It got a nomination for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Actress, Supporting Actress for Ruth Hussey, who I suppose is
Jimmy Stewart's
friend.
Co-worker.
Odd that she'd get nominated and Cary Grant wouldn't. And Best Screenplay, and it wins for Screenplay and for Stewart. Do you want to know what else was up for Best Picture that year? No guarantee we'll have heard of any of these films, but... oh, weird. They used to do 10 Best Picture nominees.
Oh, really?
And then they went back to 5.
Oh, okay.
I didn't realize that. That's crazy. I must have known that. Okay. So it was nominated against... so Rebecca won. Rebecca, which is Hitchcock.
Yeah.
So... I didn't know Hitchcock's Rebecca won Best Picture. I need to scrub up on my
thought Hitchcock had like no Oscars.
Well, he didn't win. He didn't win the Oscar.
Yeah, sure.
Selznick won the Oscar. That's the problem. He never got a Best Director Oscar. Like, if your film won Best Picture in the 40s and you weren't credited as a producer, you were not getting that award.
Oh, sure. Like, but I thought it would be more common knowledge that Hitchcock had a Best Picture winner.
Yes,
I wasn't aware of that.
Yes, the Philadelphia Story, the Best Picture nomination isn't even credited to producers. It's credited to Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, who I suppose were the producers. Joseph L. Mankiewicz was the producer. Anyway, all this and Heaven 2 was nominated, which is a Betty Davis movie, and then Foreign Correspondent, which is also Alfred Hitchcock.
Really?
Two nominations.
Two Best Picture
The
nominations.
Steven Soderbergh of his day. Grapes of Wrath, John Ford, one of the greatest films ever made. Henry Fonda, extraordinary film. The Great Dictator, Charlie Chaplin.
What?
Incredible, massive masterpiece everyone loves. I haven't seen it. Kitty Foyle, Ginger Rogers, Dennis Morgan. Don't know what that is. The Letter, which is a Wyler Betty Davis movie. God, Betty Davis is just absolutely killing it. Then you got The Long Voyage Home, which is another John Ford movie with John Wayne and Thomas Mitchell. And then Our Town, which is a William Holden movie, but is directed by the same guy who did Kitty Foyle. Mm-hmm. So there are 3 directors with 2 films nominated for Best Picture that year.
Crazy.
That's crazy.
There's like no need to have 10 nominations if that's going to be the case in certain years.
But so few people were obviously working at the highest level.
Yeah.
You know, like they were like, there's only 10 or whatever. Like the 3 or 4 really great directors, your Hitchcock and your Ford, were just like working non-fucking stop.
Yeah.
Because they were so good that the studios were just throwing money at them.
And like Philadelphia Story was shot in 6 weeks. Like these films probably had much.
Very easy for them to go make other stuff.
Yeah.
It's literally like if today you had 10 Best Picture nominations and 2 Scorsese's, 2 Spielberg's, and 2 Paul Thomas Anderson's. Like it's unheard of. It's insane.
It's insane. Yeah, they just didn't operate on the same scale, I guess.
And like, okay, it's great that we have so many films by John Ford and Hitchcock, but they're not all bangers.
No,
there's a bit of rubbish in there, and I'd like, you know, I wonder,
like, were people getting like sick that the same directors are getting nominated for Best Picture all the time like that?
But like, yeah, Scorsese's made a lot of films, and there's probably 10 of them that are a bit shit. So my question is it better to be a David Fincher or a PTA who makes one film every 5 years? None of them are actively bad. They're all at least pretty good or great, than to be someone who makes 50 films throughout your career and like 10 of them are amazing and like 40 of them are forgettable. I don't know. There must be a nice middle ground you can strike, but
like, should you be considered a better director if you have like a higher percentage hit rate, or should you go based on just like
the highest tier? Because Hitchcock is, I think, the greatest director, and he's got 10 masterpieces and then 10 decent films, and then I've never seen the other 20.
Yeah.
Because half of them are silent and half of them are just called like Secret Tunnel, and they're just set in London in 1931.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't need to see that. I know what's going to happen in it. There's going to be people in London talking about espionage, and then it's going to end. Like, I feel like, but he's still in the 50s and 60s, just goes so fucking hell for leather, making amazing films that you're kind of like, fine. The other stuff was teaching him how to be a great director. So
you gotta find your groove. Like,
if you start directing when you're young, I suppose it doesn't matter.
But I suppose if you're a Fincher or Paul Thomas Anderson type, where you only make one thing every 5 years, and then it's a bit shit. They're like, that's kind of it's like 10 years of your career is gone.
The disappointment is awful then. But then I guess then you have Ridley Scott, who he does make 2 films a year. Yeah. Soderbergh, who makes 2 films a year.
Yeah.
80% of those guys' films are not good, not worth watching.
They're completely fine.
They're fine. Like there's no neither of those directors has ever made a 5-star film, in my opinion. So there's a problem there. Sorry, that's not true. Contagion, 5-star film.
Fair enough.
So the Philadelphia Story. Anyway, any other thoughts on this? It's really good, and I will happily watch it again in my life more than once, because I want to watch these guys hanging out. The stakes are pretty low. It's nice. It's cheerful.
Yes, the stakes are incredibly low. I think the conclusion of the film with Hepburn and Cary Grant getting back together is just like a bit of a
It's a cop out or whatever.
It is a cop out, and I don't think there's like.
And telling Jimmy Stewart, oh, your buddy who you brought with you, she wouldn't be happy about that. You got to go. Like, Katharine Hepburn forces him to like look at his friend coworker with romantic eyes.
Look at your coworker. That's not Katharine Hepburn. You should just that. And
he's
she's
like,
more for you.
I guess I'll settle. Like,
it's like it's not a satisfying ending, really.
Not at all.
Cary Grant is like just an asshole the entire time.
He is just an asshole the entire time, but he's good at that. It's nice to see him being an asshole the entire time.
A little bit.
He has to be an asshole the entire time to balance out Jimmy being so sweet and nice. Although he's a journalist, he's a prickly character, but he gets drunk halfway through the film and then
fantastic drunk sequence.
It says online, everyone at the time was like, they gave him the Oscar for how good he was at being drunk.
I think,
which is a good reason to give someone an Oscar.
He's so funny. The hiccups are great.
It's great.
They do an insane amount of alcohol is consumed by the characters in this film.
Yes.
It's just constant. They have a drink in their hand constantly. They're constantly offering each other.
Yes. So
quite funny.
Henry Fonda is nominated against Jimmy Stewart at the Oscars for Grapes of Wrath, and Jimmy Stewart said he voted for Henry Fonda. Then in 1942, they did a radio version with Henry Fonda, Fred MacMurray, and Greer Garson. And then in 1947, they brought the original three boys back for a radio version. And look, there's a photo of them here.
Yeah, I saw it. They're so cool.
And they're hanging out in the radio studio. Why are the boys wearing skirts?
I don't know. Do your trousers rustle in the microphone or something?
That's really interesting. Why would that be radio studio attire in the 1940s?
Yeah, they're wearing like aprons.
But she's dressed normal. She's wearing pants, and then the two of them are wearing aprons. That is so funny. I don't understand that at all, but it's a great photo.
It is. I don't get it.
Anyway, I can't think of any equivalent nowadays where actors from a movie would go back and do a radio version years later, reunited. It's so bizarre.
Also, as always, Anthony made in the 40s with Cary Grant, Jimmy Stewart, and Katharine Hepburn. The outfits are phenomenal.
Oh, they're great. We haven't talked about the poster.
No.
Here's our poster. So as we've established, Cary Grant first billed. He demanded it. Then Katharine, then Jimmy Stewart. I think that makes sense. Big blue surnames. The Philadelphia Story, a lot of floaty faces, Broadway's howling year-run comedy hit of the snooty society beauty who slipped and fell in love. Not much to say about it. It's fine.
It tells you what's going on.
Yeah, it's the three men, the two men.
Is there another poster that I'm more familiar with?
There's a few others, but this is the one from the time. Yeah, nothing to say about it much. These older posters are just nice to look at. There's not a whole lot to say about them. They're not
just illustrations.
Yeah, they're not making any choices. There's no visual puns going on.
No,
it's not the post with the stairs. Like you just simple floaty heads. Whatever.
Was Katharine Hepburn very ginger?
She was pretty ginger, although we were looking at photos of her last night and we were trying to establish, and she's more kind of like light brown, kind of.
Because she's referred to as red in the film.
Like, obviously, most photos of her were from when she's a bit older and her hair's graying. She's not exactly Maureen O'Hara, but, like, that's pretty red.
Yeah.
But also, some of these might be artificially colorized.
They look a little bit...
It's hard to say. I'd say her hair was about that red.
Sure. Makes sense.
She's pretty red, but, like, I don't know. I feel like Cate Blanchett in The Aviator doesn't have particularly reddish hair, but I don't really know. So it was remade in 1956. Sit back down. It was remade in 1956 as the musical High Society, which stars Bing Crosby, Grace Kelly of Sinatra, and Louis Armstrong. And we may very well do a boy party episode about that at some stage as well. So I'm not going to talk about it too much, but it is good. But I prefer this film. I think this is better. So that's the Philadelphia Story, and I'm going to do the credits game with you. You might struggle because not a lot of supporting actors in these films whose names you're going to recognize. So this is a film.
Is there any other way we can do this? I don't think so. No, go on.
You're not going to get it. But
sure,
whatever. Sure. So I'm going to read out, Shane, the credits of a film starring one of the three actors from the Philadelphia Story that we've discussed. I'm going to read out the credits in reverse order.
This is going to be embarrassing. I'm
Shane's
not going to
try
get
and
it.
guess what the film is as fast as possible until I get to the biggest names on the credits. So we're going to start. This year of the film is 1958.
Vertigo.
Nope.
Okay.
Ollie O'Toole, Hans Mobus, Ted Mapes, Perk Lazelle, Robert Haynes, Gail Bonney, Wolf Barzell, Fred Aldrich, Philippe Clay, Janice Rule, Elsa Lanchester, Hermione Gingold, Ernie Kovacs. If you'd seen the film, you'd have gotten it by now, I'd say.
That rings a bell.
Jack Lemmon.
Oh, okay. I don't think I've seen this.
Kim Novak.
Kim Novak?
Yeah.
Of Vertigo.
Yes.
It's not Vertigo.
No. You should get this.
I know I should. Have I seen it?
James Stewart.
Okay. The other Jimmy Stewart, Kim Novak.
Correct.
Man Who Knew Too Much.
No, she is not in that film.
Who's?
Doris Day.
Oh, that's Doris Day.
We're going to be doing this on Boy Party very soon.
Okay.
It's Jimmy Stewart and Jack Lemmon's
Jimmy Stewart and Jack Lemmon.
proper collab.
Yeah.
This is a film. This is one of my 10 favorite films, I'd say.
What's up, Doc?
No,
I don't know.
Good grief.
Sorry.
Bell Book and
Bell
Candle.
Book and Candle. That was my next guess.
Shares a name with a bookshop in Galway.
Yes, that was
right.
That was my next guess.
Now, box office game.
How are we gonna do this?
You're gonna quiz me on the top 10 highest-grossing films of 1940.
Okay, I'm gonna pull that list up.
So I'll admit I already got spoiled about one or two of these, but I'll play along anyway.
There's only 7 listed here, so
That's fine.
We'll try and get all 7.
Perfect.
What is number 1?
Pinocchio, which I love.
This made $52 million.
Wow. Well, sorry, I didn't do the. Actually, I should have said based on inflation, the budget of Philadelphia Story was $20 million in today's money.
Yeah, what was it? 3 at the time?
No, it was like less.
Sorry,
than,
it was
less
100.
than less than $1 million. Yeah.
So
okay.
if you multiply 50 million by 20,
so wait, what did Pinocchio make?
52 million. That's 2 billion.
52 million.
Is it? No, it's not.
No, that is. Oh, for God's sake! I pressed the wrong thing. 52 million. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Sorry, it's a billion.
A billion. So
yeah.
Pinocchio made $1 billion. Wow.
Okay, it says it sold 216,000 tickets.
No, I don't know anything about that.
I don't know.
Let's just say it made $1 billion.
Sure, made $1 billion.
Incredible.
That checks out at €5 per ticket.
Yeah.
What's next?
Gone with the Wind.
Gone with the Wind.
Now, Gone with the Wind came out like a different year. It was just still in the box office.
December 15th, 1939.
Yeah.
Release date.
So it was still hanging around the box office a year and a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it made 28 million in 1940.
Oh, sorry. I forgot this was for an entire year. Yes, sorry. Yeah. So it came out at the end of 1939 and it made a lot of money in 1940. That's fine.
So you're taking off the first 3 weeks.
Yes,
basically,
yes.
And it was still the second.
That makes sense. Yeah. Okay. Very good. Now, I don't know any of the other ones. So.
Okay. Next one was a musical, a Walt Disney production musical.
Animated?
I don't know.
You don't know. I feel like yes. Disney only made animated movies in the 1940s. Like
I guess so. Yes. Very much so.
Is it Sleeping Beauty?
No.
Cinderella?
No. Are they musicals?
They're all musicals.
Yeah.
Is it Dumbo?
No.
Okay. Is it about a human person or an animal?
Animal.
And is the animal a dog?
No.
Is the animal a fox?
No.
Is the animal a rabbit?
No.
Is the animal live in Africa or in Europe? Or I'm confusing myself. I don't know.
What is the famous Disney animal?
Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
It's about a Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
A Mickey Mouse musical.
Yeah.
I haven't seen this. What the hell is this? Fantasia. Oh, sorry. It's not all about Mickey Mouse.
Oh,
he's only in it for like 10 minutes.
He's on the image.
Sure.
And the top build is Fantasia. Mickey Mouse, played by Walt Disney.
Top build, Mickey Mouse.
Top build.
Walt Disney did the voice of Mickey Mouse. I always forget that. Yeah, of course he did.
There's only 4 people credited on this.
Yeah, because it's silent. It's all classical music.
Yeah.
That film is only enjoyable if you are on hard drugs when you watch it.
Sounds delightful.
Yeah.
Okay, next up.
Yeah.
1 second, please. I'm not familiar with my 1940s films.
Interesting.
This is a Jack Conway film, directed by Jack Conway.
I'm not going to know any directors from this period.
Okay.
Give me some other deets.
Okay, we'll go reverse order with the cast.
Have I got this logged on Letterboxd?
You haven't.
Ah, shite.
Nobody has that I follow.
No one has.
Okay, from 5th highest build to top.
Go.
Frank Morgan.
Okay, so he's in The Wizard of Oz and he's in The Shop Around the Corner.
Yeah.
Those are the only Frank Morgan films I can name. Keep going.
Hedy Lamarr.
No.
Claudette Colbert.
Sure, very famous. Also in The Shop Around the Corner. Okay.
We're up to number 2 now. This is Spencer Tracy.
Right.
And do you want the number 1, Bill?
Yes.
This is Clark Gable.
It's embarrassing if I can't get it. It's not. It happened one night.
No.
Shit. Clark Gable, Spencer Tracy, Frank Morgan. Sounds great. Great cast.
Do you want to hear the tagline?
Yes.
Where men are rough and tough and like their women the same way.
So is the name of the movie like the name of a town?
Yeah, close.
So it's called like, you know, Rough Creek or some shit. It's probably something I've seen.
2 buddies who rise from fly-by-night wildcatters to oil tycoons over a 20-year period both love the same woman.
Clark Gable and fucking Spencer Tracy. This is like that's a boy party.
That's a boy party.
Jesus.
This is called Boomtown.
I wouldn't have got that. I don't know what that is. Boomtown.
Boomtown.
Must not be good. Like if it's not
it looks like a western.
Yeah, it probably is a western. If it's not a very famous classic, it probably isn't that great.
Still the 4th biggest film of the year.
Boomtown. Yeah.
Came out in August 1940.
All right. Yeah. I've never seen this poster before. It is
doesn't look too inspiring.
2 hours long. Yeah, I'm not sure I'm going to watch that. Yeah, nobody I know has logged it either. And I follow hundreds of people.
It's bizarre.
All right, keep going.
Next up. This is a 4-star film.
Okay. By me.
This was mentioned by you already on the pod.
Oh, I'm sure it was.
It's got a green poster.
Oh, I don't know.
It's
Is it a holiday?
It's a single word.
The summertime holiday.
No.
Single word. Was it one of the actors from Boy Party from Philadelphia Story in it?
No. Do you want to hear the tagline?
Yes.
The shadow of this woman darkened their love.
The shadow of this woman darkened their love. It's
Yeah.
Rebecca.
It's Rebecca.
Rebecca's great. One of the greatest scores ever.
Really?
Bernard Herrmann, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely incredible score. I'm going to check that it was Bernard Herrmann. But it's an unbelievable score. Yeah, Rebecca's great. Not half as, the remake with Lily James and Armie Hammer wasn't quite it.
Mm-hmm. All right. Next one.
It was Franz Waxman who did the music for that, not Bernard Herrmann. And he also did the Philadelphia Story. Big year for the Waxmen.
Absolutely.
House of Wax.
Very good.
Wax Museum. Keep going.
Okay, this is number 6.
Yeah.
This is a Victor Schertzinger film.
Nope.
Nope.
Not going to get any of the directors on these.
With Bing Crosby, Dorothy Lamour,
Going My Way.
Bob Hope.
Crosby and Hope is like 100 movies together. Is it called Road to something?
Yes.
Road to Morocco?
Close.
Road to...
Go further east.
Road to Cairo?
More further east.
Road to Beijing?
South.
Road to... Is it in Asia?
Yeah.
Road to Tokyo? Road
Further
to Cairo?
south.
I already said that. Road to further south. Road to... Shit.
No.
Oh, it's in Asia.
Yeah.
Is it in Japan?
No.
Korea?
It's kind of its own country.
Thailand? Taiwan?
No.
Saipan?
No.
That's not a real place.
Yeah, it is.
But it's not a country.
No.
Oh, I don't know. Road to its own place.
It's like, I think it's a country. Yeah.
It's a country.
It is a country.
I'm not going to get it.
Singapore.
Road to Singapore.
Yeah.
I forgot about Singapore.
Singapore is a country, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, there's a lot of those movies.
Yeah.
They went to everywhere.
They just went on trips.
They just went on trips, yeah. Fair play to them.
Ready for fun, fight, or a South Seas romance? They'll find them all.
Those movies are all the same.
Yeah.
They're fine.
It's a very funny poster
Yeah.
where
Show me.
one man is just pinching the other's nose.
That's a modern poster, though.
Oh, is it?
Like that? Like you can tell that was made.
Oh, look at the font.
That was made in the 90s. Like, yeah. That is a funny poster. Those are funny guys.
Yeah.
Crosby and Hope are funny. Road to Morocco is the one that people like, I think.
Okay.
It has a famous song. Road to Morocco. That's the only part I can sing. Anyway. One more.
It's our titular.
Oh, Philadelphia Story.
The PS.
The PS. PS3. PS4.
This is PS2.
PS3. But they're the PS3. 3 actors.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was like the second. It was like the stage is PS1.
I suppose, yeah.
Okay.
Are we done?
I think so.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to our Philadelphia Story episode. We hope you've enjoyed hearing us talk about slightly older cinema. We probably don't have as much spontaneous fun facts as we would if we were talking about fucking The Rock.
Yeah, there were only like 6 actors at the time,
Brad
so you can't go
Pitt,
down too many tangents.
Yeah, it's a bit less tangents. But I hope you enjoyed. And check out the movie if you haven't seen it. It is really, really excellent. We will be back with more Boy Party next week. You can visit boypartypod.com. Follow Boy Party Pod on Instagram and Twitter. We are now selling Boy Party
merch
t-shirts. They are available for €12. You can order them now on our Instagram page and on boypartypod.com.
If you want to come to the boy party, you have to meet the dress code.
You have to meet the dress code. You have to wear the Boy Party shirt. Thank you for tuning in, and please leave us a positive review if you like the show. Leave us a positive rating on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever else, because it helps to spread the word. Thank you for tuning in. See you soon. I can tell there's something in the air because I'm being taken away. Goodbye.